Your assistant is getting genuinely good. It answers from your own notes, it uses tools to actually do things, and you can measure that it's reliable. So let's have a real conversation with it. You tell it your name, you mention you prefer short answers, you say you're tracking a few subscriptions. It's helpful, great. Now close the window, come back tomorrow, open a fresh chat and say hello. And it has absolutely no idea who you are, not a flicker, you're a complete stranger again. Your name, your preference for short answers, the subscriptions you mentioned, all of it gone. Every single session you start from zero and reintroduce yourself, like meeting someone with no past. And here's the part that should bug you. Back in episode 3, we taught it to find your documents, but it still can't remember you. So today we fix exactly that. We give your assistant a memory so it actually remembers you from one session to the next. To fix this properly, you have to know why it happened, and the reason goes all the way back to episode 1. The raw model is stateless. It keeps nothing between calls. Remember how the chat API actually works. Every single turn, you don't just send the new message. You resend the entire conversation so far, because the model itself stores none of it. So a conversation only feels continuous because the whole history is sitting right there on the desk, in the context window, the whole time. That history, the stuff on the desk during one chat, has a name. It's short-term memory. And it's real, it works beautifully, but it lives and dies inside a single session. The instant you close that window, the desk is wiped clean. Nothing carries over. The next session starts with an empty desk and a model that, by design, learned nothing and kept nothing. So what we're actually missing is a second kind of memory entirely. Something that survives after the desk is cleared, that remembers you across sessions, not just within one. That's called long-term memory, and the model does not have it, so we're going to build it. So you try the obvious thing, and honestly it's a good instinct. If the problem is that the conversation gets wiped, then just save the whole thing. Keep every word of every chat you've ever had and paste all of it onto the desk at the start of every new session. Now it remembers everything. And for a day or two, this actually works. But you've seen exactly why this collapses, because we hit this same wall back in episode 3. The desk is finite. The context window only holds so much, and your entire history with the assistant, weeks, months of conversations, does not fit. And even before it overflows, you're paying for every token of that history on every single message, which gets slow and expensive fast. But here's the subtle one, the one that really matters. Even when it does fit, burying the two facts that matter, your name, your preference, inside thousands of lines of old chit-chat actually makes the model worse at finding them. As the desk gets more crowded, the model's ability to pick out the relevant detail quietly drops. There's a name for that creeping problem, context rot. So pasting everything isn't memory, it's hoarding. You don't need your whole history on the desk. You need the few things that actually matter about you. Which turns the whole thing into one question. Out of an entire conversation, what's even worth remembering? And that question is the whole trick. Out of a long, rambling conversation, almost nothing is worth keeping forever. You said hello, you made a joke, you asked about the weather, none of that matters tomorrow, but a handful of things do. Your name is Sam. You prefer short answers. You're tracking a Netflix subscription. Those are durable facts about you, the kind that should still be true next week. So here's the first real move, and it's clever. You use the model itself to do the sorting. After a conversation, you hand the whole transcript to an LLM and you ask it, plainly, pull out the lasting facts about this user and ignore the small talk. And it's genuinely good at this. It reads the chatter and hands back a short, clean list. Name Sam, prefers short answers, tracks a Netflix subscription. That step has a name. It's called extraction. You're not saving the conversation. You're distilling it down to the few facts worth keeping. The flood of words goes in. A handful of durable facts come out. Now you've got these clean little facts, but where do they go? Not into the model is frozen, it doesn't learn. They go into a store that lives outside the model entirely, a memory store. And if that idea feels familiar, hold that thought because it's about to pay off. You take each extracted fact and you save it, exactly the way we saved notes back in episode 3, as a point in the meaning space, an embedding sitting in a little database. That's the store step. Now jump to tomorrow. New session, empty desk, the model knows nothing. You walk in and say, hey, how many days until my next payment? Before that even reaches the model, the system quietly does a lookup. It takes your question, embeds it, and searches the memory store for whatever's relevant by meaning. And the Netflix fact lights up, because payment and subscription live in the same neighborhood. That's the recall step. And here's the move that ties this whole season together. Those recalled facts get pasted onto the desk, into the context, right alongside your question before the model ever sees it. So the model wakes up to an empty desk, but it's no longer empty. Sitting on it is a tidy note that says, "This is Sam, prefers short answers, has a Netflix subscription." And the model just reads it like it knew you all along. Extract, store, recall. That loop is the entire engine of memory. Now if a quiet voice in your head has been saying, wait, this is just RAG again, good, you're paying attention. The machinery does look almost identical. Embed something, store it, search by meaning, paste the result onto the desk. That's the RAG loop from episode 3, almost beat for beat. But here is the distinction that actually matters, and it's worth getting crisp because people blur these constantly. RAG retrieves your documents. Memory retrieves you. RAG answers the question, what does this page say? It reaches into a pile of knowledge, a manual, a report, your notes, and pulls back the relevant passage. Memory answers a completely different question, what do I know about this person? It reaches into a record of you, your name, your preferences, the tasks you keep coming back to, and pulls back who you are. One retrieves facts about the world, the other retrieves facts about you. And there's a second, deeper difference, the one engineers care about. RAG is read-only. Your documents just sit there. You wrote them, the system only ever reads them. Memory has to write. Something has to watch your conversations, decide what's worth keeping, and update the store as you change. That writing step, the deciding what to remember, is the part RAG simply doesn't have. So a fair way to hold it, memory is RAG plus a loop that writes. And that little writing loop is exactly where all the hard parts hide. Let's make this real, free, and local on your own computer. Same setup as always. A local model running on Llama plus a small free local embedding model and an open source memory layer called Mem0, all running offline, no key, no bill. Session 1. I introduce myself. I'm Sam, I prefer short answers, and I'm tracking a Netflix subscription. The assistant replies, normal conversation. Now behind the scenes, watch the extraction happen. Mem0 hands that chat to the local model and gets back 3 clean facts which it stores. Now I close the session completely. To prove the model itself is still stateless, I ask it cold with no memory, who am I? And it has no idea, exactly as expected. Now I turn memory back on and ask, what subscription am I tracking? Watch the trace. First, the recall. It searches the memory store, finds the Netflix fact by meaning, and pastes it into the context. Then the same local model, reading that recalled note, answers correctly, you're tracking Netflix. It remembered me across 2 separate sessions on my own machine for free. Same model that was a blank stranger 1 minute ago. The only thing that changed is that this time it had a memory to read. So before you go give every assistant a perfect memory, sit with the honest catch, because this one's important. That writing step we just praised, the deciding what to remember, is a judgment call. And the thing making the judgment is the same imperfect model, which means it can write down the wrong thing. And here's what makes a memory mistake so much nastier than an ordinary one. A normal wrong answer is gone the moment the chat ends. A wrong memory sticks around and it shapes every future conversation. It compounds. Take staleness. You tell it once, I'm tracking Netflix, and it dutifully remembers forever. But 3 months later you cancel Netflix. The fact was true when it was stored, and it's quietly wrong now, and nothing told the memory to update. That's why serious memory systems don't just pile facts up. When a new fact contradicts an old one, they mark the old one as no longer true instead of keeping both and getting confused. Then there's the overeager problem. You mentioned one time that you'd like a short answer today because you're in a rush, and now it's decided permanently that you hate detail. A passing mood got frozen into a rule, and underneath all of it sits the big one: privacy. The instant you start keeping a lasting record of someone, their name, their habits, their life, you're holding something genuinely sensitive. So you let people see exactly what's remembered about them and let them delete it, which is harder than it sounds, because once a fact has been folded into embeddings, truly erasing every trace of it is real work. None of this means memory is bad. It means memory is a responsibility, not a free win. So let's lock down what memory actually is, because it's simpler than the hype. Short-term memory is the conversation on the desk, alive for one session. Long-term memory is the part we built today. Extract the few durable facts about you, store them outside the frozen model, and recall the relevant ones back onto the desk next time. And the line to never blur: RAG retrieves your documents, memory retrieves you. Step back and notice the pattern across this whole season. Almost everything we've built is really the same craft, deciding what deserves to be on the model's desk at the right moment. That craft has a name: context engineering, and memory is just context engineering pointed at the user instead of at a document. But notice what memory still cannot do. It can hand the model new facts about you. It can't change how the model behaves. If your assistant keeps answering in a tone you don't like, or won't follow your format no matter how perfectly you remember and retrieve, no amount of memory fixes that, because that's not missing knowledge, it's baked-in behavior. Changing behavior is a different tool entirely, and it's the heaviest one in this whole season. You reach for it last, and only when everything else has failed. That's fine-tuning, and that's next.